during his tenure as DG of CII, and whose friendship and association the government values very significantly, whose contributions for acting as a bridge between government policy and the needs of industry have helped us in our efforts towards ease of doing business, towards making India more competitive. Shri Rajendra Ratnu, the Joint Secretary, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, also the Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks, all the members of the jury, all the award winners, some of whom we had the privilege of listening to and who shared their experiences with us. Thank you very much for your very enlightening comments and suggestions, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to join all of you today in this ceremony to award the winners of the National Intellectual Property Awards 2020. This award not only recognizes the innovative ideas of individuals and institutions, but also serves as an inspiration for many others in their journey towards R&D, towards invention, towards innovation. And from the list of awardees, I found that these awards today are truly inclusive because they include the contributions from different sectors, from academia to startups, big industry, our modern technology industry. So in a way, it's a very nice mix of different sectors that are being recognized today. My congratulations on behalf of the Government of India and on my personal behalf to all the distinguished winners of this award today. I hope you will continue doing this exemplary work in the future, as also encouraging others, particularly our youngsters, to get more involved and engaged with the IP sector. Today, technology and ideas are the twin engines of growth. In fact, IPR is the fuel that powers growth, that powers the future of a country. I agree with Ganesh. I agree with Vishwesh when they speak about taking this to the next level. I mean, Vishwesh almost suggested we should have films made on it. I agree when Ashokji talks about taking this to the students in universities. And I'm going to come to that a little later. I'm really impressed, Omkarji, with the good work that you have done. Also, the good work that Arshad Jamilji spoke about at Biocon Biologics, or the work that Nuendra Innovations Private Limited has done over the last several years. I agree also with Omkarji when he says that if India is to go to the next level, all of us will have to invest deeply in R&D and the future of India and Indian industry is going to be defined with our ability to remain engaged with technology in the future. I compliment all of you for the good work you have done, and I'm sure you will continue to be the flag bearers of India's intellectual property ecosystem. All of you are helping change lives. You are helping create livelihoods. And I'm sure this ecosystem going forward will help transform India into an economic superpower. Just like geographical boundaries guard our country's interests, I think Intellectual Property Office is the guardian of our country's intellectual property and the innovation and invention that all of you come up with. I would like to urge each of the winners and stakeholders to also give us some guidance how we can further inculcate the spirit of inquiry, the inquisitiveness that should be there in every child coming out of college, every young boy or girl in the country. And how can we further improve the work of our IP office, the Copyright and IP office? Ratnuji did show us the transformational journey of the last 7 years, where there's been an exponential growth in the number of filings, the number of examinations, the patents or trademarks or copyrights or designs that have been granted approval. But I would like to also see how we can make it further easier to get approvals, more attractive for people both in India and abroad to come to India. And how can we make this entire ecosystem truly world class? We have seen significant improvement in our WIPO rankings, but I think there's scope for more. And while we have reached 48, I think the target that the Honorable Prime Minister has set for us is to break into the top 25 ranks. And I was reading the top 40, 50 countries. I found all of them were like the really developed nations. There was hardly any developing nation in the top countries in the WIPO rankings. Therefore, I think it's going to be quite a challenge, but I know with your support, we can do it. So I'd really urge each one of you well-wishers to kindly give us your ideas how we can take our IP office to the next level, make it even more user-friendly, make it seamless, make it completely electronic, online, and simple, fast, and efficient. India, as an ancient civilization, has been home to many discoveries. In fact, many of our discoveries later got attributed to Western countries. The Pythagorean theorem was first elaborated in India. It is reported that plastic surgery also was first performed in India. But unfortunately, we have not been able to document it or gain credit for all of these as much as we should have. Yoga was discovered in India, but today is, of course, through the International Day of Yoga, we are hoping to make it a worldwide phenomena. But the level of research, the level of understanding, the connect between science and yoga still needs to be done much more in India than what we are seeing. All of these have actually been a loss for the nation. But I'm sure that we can all work together to change this situation and give India the rightful place for the innovations and inventions and the good work that is happening in India. I agree with some of the previous speakers and award winners that we need to recognize IP as a very valuable asset in India. And I'm glad that Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee has elucidated three very interesting ideas on which we need to work. Because our IP rights must ensure whoever invents them are protected and guaranteed to prosper. And this can only happen with a greater degree of participation of the government, academia, our universities, and industry working in tandem with each other. I would like to accept CII's offer to work with us to create an India IP Think and Act camp. And I urge Mr. Ratno to immediately get onto a call with CB and start finalizing the contours of this program and start activities towards this. It could initially even be through online and virtual mode, because in any case, most of your activities are getting online from the data you presented. And I'm sure we can also impart training to our young boys and girls to think about IP very seriously through the online medium. A very strong IPR regime will empower the expansion and energize our industry in challenging times. In fact, we saw that when we were fighting against COVID, the Biocon Biologics gentleman, Mr. Arshad Jamil, shared some of their outreach and some of their achievements during COVID. We have the personal protective equipment as another big success story of India. India today makes rapid testing kits in a big way. We make very high quality masks, both surgical, N95, and of all desired grades in India. We are often called the pharmacy of the world. Our pharmaceutical industry has done the nation proud. And of late, with fintech and edutech taking primary place, taking pole position in our unicorns and our technology ecosystems, our startup ecosystem, I think India has come a long way from the past. A strong IPR regime will empower the expansion of these sectors and really take us to the next level, because the progress of India is closely intertwined with the progress of the intellectual property regime. It is now time that Startup India and Make in India works in tandem with Design in India and Patent in India. And towards that end, while under Prime Minister Modi, we have been taking giant strides in creating a robust IPR regime and ecosystem to foster innovation, we have a lot more to do going forward. One major initiative in this direction has been the National IPR Policy for a Creative India and Innovative India. Other key initiatives were shared by Mr. Ratno in terms of significant fee concessions, 10% to all those who file online, 80% fee concession for startups and small entities. I believe also for women entrepreneurs. We have tried to make the procedures much more compact, time-bound, user-friendly, and compatible for e-transactions. A comprehensive e-filing facility has been made available, and we are now processing the patents and trademark applications electronically. I have asked the office also to set up video conferencing facility so that all our applicants from different parts of the country can resolve the queries or respond to any questions and follow up on their requests through video conference and need not visit the patent office. I've actually asked them to move everything online and try to make this 100% electronic ecosystem so that we can completely eliminate any physical interface and any chances of any unethical practice in the entire patent ecosystem. We are also looking at certificates of grants and registration of trademarks being issued via email so that they are more transparent and there's ease of access. I've also suggested that we may, in the future, anonymize all the applications that we receive and then send it for examination to different offices so that the persons who are examining do not know the identity of the person who has submitted the application for patent or trademark. So we are trying in different ways to bring in transparency and ensuring very robust integrity in our IPR systems. The time of patent examination has come down from 72 months in December 2016 to between 12 to 24 months now. That also the time taken increases if there are any objections. If there are no objections, then the time has been reduced even below 12 months. I've asked the office to see how we can compress this time taken further And while we have, of course, been able to grant about 600%, show 600% growth in the number of patents granted now versus what it was 7 years ago, I do hope we'll see much more significant traction going forward. In the last 4 years, 14 lakh trademark registrations, as Mr. Ratno just said, have been issued versus 11 lakh in the 75 years before that, from 1940 to 2015. 11 lakh in 75 years, in 4 years, 14.2 lakh. That's the transformational journey that all of you have made possible. And I'd like to thank you for that. From Kashmiri Pashmina to Mysore silk and Darjeeling tea to Chikmagalur Arabica coffee, GI products, geographical indicator products, are now the torchbearers of Brand India. I would urge all of you, wherever you can locate any product which deserves GI certification, do please encourage them and help them to approach us so that we capture the GI that is rightfully India's at the earliest opportunity. If there are any impediments to that, please inform us. We'll be happy to re-examine the process, make it simpler. If there is any issue about costs, we are happy to reduce the costs. But in every which way, India must capture whatever is rightfully ours. हमारी भारत की विरासत को हमने समेटना है और भारत में रखना है. और इसमें अशोक जी, ओमकार जी, गणेश, अरशद भाई, आप सब लोग, विश्वेश, आप सब हमारी मदद करें, ऐसा मेरे आप सबसे दिल से दरख्वास्त है. We would also like to improve our ranking in the Global Innovation Index, as I said, from 48 to below 25, and that will need a lot of support from all of you. And I'd like CII to take or dedicate a team which can analyze what are the practices in other countries, in the top 48, 47 countries, and tell us where we can improve our processes and jumpstart to get into the league of the top 25. And we need to do it in mission mode, ladies and gentlemen. From artists to academia, and from individuals to institutions, there is now need to bring the IP revolution for inclusive progress for India. Strengthening these IPR laws will boost job creation, quality consciousness, competitiveness, and truly the might of Indian education, Indian research and development, and Indian industry, both manufacturing and services. If we have to become the innovation powerhouse of the world, I think we will need to extend intellectual property right to make it India's prosperity right. And that is where, ladies and gentlemen, I seek your indulgence to make India the hub of prosperity through innovation, to make India the design hub of the world, from cars to computers, from sewing machines to spaceships. We must encourage design and design capabilities for a better future for all Indians. I would like to suggest one or two programs which, Mr. Rattu, we could really work with CII to make happen. While CII talked about, and I think a couple of other speakers spoke about, using IPR as a collateral for financial institutions and bank finance, I think we may take this up with the Ministry of Finance jointly and have CII make a presentation to the banking ecosystem or to the Ministry of Finance to consider this idea. Of course, there would be some baggage and some historical wrongs which may create some impediments in this subject. But I do believe one or two bad examples should not be the defining feature for the future. So I would urge DPIIT and CII to work with the Department of Banking to take that idea forward. I think very good point that CB raised was about future technologies needing good quality planning and building of necessary skills. Towards that end, I think, Dr. Chavan, you can play a very important role, along with all the other universities, IITs, IIMs, other reputed universities across the country. If we can look at online and possibly a hybrid online offline programs to train our youth for more understanding about IPR, copyrights, trademarks, patents, we can actually inculcate that culture in India. So I would like to suggest that we set a target of creating awareness and a basic training in 1 million students across universities in India in the next, let's say, 12 months or 52 weeks as a part of our Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav program. If we can create this awareness, a basic awareness, maybe a 1 hour a day, 1 week or 2 week module, and being online, we can really have a fast outreach of 1 million students in the next 52 weeks. I think that will be a great program to start with towards CB's idea. And we can then look at the next level of whether this can become a part of curriculum in different streams of university education across India. I would also like to make a couple of announcements on this occasion. We have already done an 80% fee reduction to all recognized educational institutions which are owned by the government. Now, I think it's quite unfair that this is restricted only to innovation coming out of government institutions. So I'd like to make an announcement and Mr. Ratno to start the process for approval that this 80% fee reduction will now apply to all recognized educational institutions, whether government aided, or private institutions, irrespective of whether these institutions are situated in India or anywhere in the world. So we would like to encourage educational institutions recognized by the government of the country, by the Indian government system, all recognized educational institutions, universities, schools, colleges would now enjoy the benefit of an 80% reduction. Now, this will mean, ladies and gentlemen, that the total fee for filing, publication, and renewal for an institute will reduce from about 4.25 lakhs to 85,000. That's a reduction of 80%. I think this will be a great encouragement for our universities. And I do hope to see lots and lots of new universities and educational institutions participating in this. I am given to understand this will now become the lowest fee among the top patent offices worldwide. And I would encourage all our educational universities, both in India and abroad, to take the benefit of this scheme. I would also like to suggest, and I would want the office to work out the modalities, how it will be done, and how the students will be selected, that on this auspicious occasion of 75th anniversary of India's independence, the patent office or the government, DPIIT, through the patent office, will institute 75 scholarships for students who are pursuing law, the IP studies in IP laws, who come from economically weaker sections of society. We may have some kind of a competition for all those students whose family income is below a certain level, modalities may be worked out by the patent office, and we may announce these scholarships for students who are pursuing law degree related to the intellectual property ecosystem. And I think it may be, I don't know, a 2-year course or a 5-year course, but we should give a scholarship for the entire duration to 75 students. And then if the program is successful, you can look at expanding that program further. But economically weaker sections of society should get an opportunity to study this highly technical subject. And universities such as the Amity Law School or the National Law School should be encouraged to give more and more admission to students from economically weaker sections. In fact, a possible way, and I know that Ashokji is a very philanthropic person, could be that we ask the universities to do a matching scholarship. So you could actually take this 75 to become 150. So whichever institutions participate in this program, by also offering a matching number of students a similar scholarship, that way it could go to 150 students from economically weaker sections. And then maybe at some day, we may find some other philanthropists who are willing to encourage such students, because India does need a lot more lawyers and experts with technical and legal knowledge of the IP ecosystem. So these were just some of my thoughts. I'd like to deeply appreciate the efforts and contribution of all the officers in the IP office across India for being the trusted guardians or being the brain trust of India and Indians. My compliments to you for the good work you have done. But as they say, one way to keep the momentum going is to have constantly greater goals. And I'm sure all my colleagues in the patent office will now set new benchmarks and even greater ambition in the days ahead. Let us aim much higher to transform India into a magnet to attract the best of talent, the best of ideas, and the best and most modern technologies. Congratulations to all the winners. A big thank you to the jury members, to my colleagues in the DPIIT, my warmest appreciation to CII for their partnership and for the wonderful ideas that CB just gave me, and to all the officials associated with the IP ecosystem. Deep sense of gratitude for your good work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very, very inspirational address. I now request Mr. Ratnu, Joint Secretary, to kindly give the vote of thanks, please.
First of all, I'd like to extend my hearty thanks to Honorable Prime Minister of India for giving the vision for overall IP ecosystem improvement in the country. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable CIM, who has shown keen interest in strengthening and improving the IPR system in India. And sir, your words today are a great encouragement to me and to entire my team and at IP offices across the country. And as you rightly said, sir, the IPR revolution for inclusive India, as you have rightly worded it, this is something which will be our mantra for the next years to come, sir. And I like to also share that Honorable Minister is the only minister in the history of this country who has successively visited twice the IP office in Mumbai, spent hours with our team to guide them, and this what we have achieved would not have been achieved in the last 2 years despite COVID. Our team has overperformed what they achieved previous years, and it is surely we owe it to you, sir, for your inspiration and your guidance, sir. At this juncture, I also remember my former boss, late Dr. Guru Prasad Mahapatra, former Secretary DPIIT, for what he encouraged us, and he gave me opportunity to perform in this IP system. And we fondly remember his contribution towards the IP ecosystem. Honorable Secretary present,